Morning, everyone. 8 minutes. It's not long. It is the time it takes for a photon to travel from the sun to the Earth. So hopefully I'll illuminate you a little bit about Patrys in that period of time. Frankly, in 8 minutes, I'm not going to be able to give you the detail of why we think Patrys is a great company and why you should be investing in it. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. We'll talk to 5 messages as to why we think we're really well situated. And hopefully you can chase me down and talk detail later on during coffee or beer time. Next slide. Oh, sorry, I'm in charge. Next slide. Safe harbour, we'll take as read. Okay, Patrys is a therapeutic antibody development company. We're in the business of making new drugs to treat a range of different cancers. We're listed on the ASX. Daniel, I hate to say it, yes, we're listed on the ASX. Market cap's about $40 million. As at the 30th of June, we had $10 million in the bank. What makes us different as a therapeutic antibody development company is that our antibodies target a range of different, a target which is expressed over a range of different cancers. A target called ENT2, which is upregulated across a range of different cancers, which means we can flank some of the specificity issues associated with some existing antibody therapeutics. Not only do we have a novel target, we have a novel mechanism of action. Once our antibody's in the cell environment, in the tumour environment, it migrates through the cytoplasm to the nucleus where it stops DNA repair and stops DNA replication. What does this mean? This means we can kill a range of different cancers, and we've got strong preclinical data in cancers ranging from triple-negative breast cancer through ovarian cancer, pancreatic cancer, and even a range of different brain cancers. Brain cancers, you say, surely not, because antibodies don't cross the blood-brain barrier. Well, our antibodies do, which is kind of interesting. We're not going to dwell on data because data makes people's eyes glaze over generally. But here, just a little bit of data from Yale. I draw your attention to control mice on the left-hand side, which have been given a metastatic breast cancer line. This is a line that preferentially metastasizes to the brain. And mice on the right-hand side, which have been given our lead asset, PAT-DX1. What can you see there? You can see 93% less metastasis. You can see, which translated as a 45% increase in survival. Nice data for an antibody, because remember, antibodies aren't supposed to cross the blood-brain barrier. Closer to home, here at the Telethon Institute in Perth, we can show that mice, there's a survival curve, mice given a human glioblastoma line straight into the brain. Black curve, you can see control mice dying within 3 to 4 weeks of being treated. Standard of care curve in red there, you can see that we see a prolongation of life, certainly, but just as we see with patients, full brain radiation, standard of care for patients, prolongs survival, but all the patients eventually die, or the mice eventually die in this case. What I draw your attention to is the purple line, which is standard of care radiation plus our agent, PAT-DX1. You can see a 25% prolongation in survival, and you can see that 20% of the mice actually survived through the experiment, which we think is very positive. Okay, we've got an antibody platform which targets a novel target, has a novel mechanism of action, so what? This means we can think about a range of different cancers that are unserved medical needs. And the potential there is really, really substantial, more than $20 billion. What do we think of? Triple-negative breast cancer, estimated market value, $17 billion. Think of glioblastoma, $1.5 billion. Think of pancreatic cancer, $3.7 billion. These are horrendous unmet clinical needs with really bad prognoses for the patients involved. If we think about glioblastoma or pancreatic cancer, average time from diagnosis to death is about 15 months. 5-year survival, less than 10%. So the potential here is really, really substantial. Okay, so what? We're really happy because we're on a path to helping fight these unmet medical needs, and our first agent, PAT-DX1, is going to be in the clinic next year, second half of next year. Testament to the hard work and dedication of my team, which have scrapped hard over the last 5 years to get us here, to take an invention from Yale through development and into the clinic. When we think of the development of a clinical stage asset, or when we think of the development of an antibody in particular, the biggest risk step is showing that you can produce this at commercial scale, the manufacturing. And we're really pleased that we knocked off manufacturing. We can produce our antibody at scale and are going to be doing our GLP tox studies starting next month. We've done non-GLP studies in primates and in rodents, and certainly we're really confident. Those studies were clear. We're pretty confident we'll be in the clinic next year. Okay, so taking a step back, and this is hard. Cancer companies like thinking about cancer, but we do take a step back, and Daniel, this aligns with some of the things you were talking about earlier on. We've got this very unique antibody platform which does things that most other antibodies do, that localises to tumours, that can cross the blood-brain barrier, get into the brain, and can also move in towards the cell nucleus. This is of interest to other sorts of companies who we're talking to. One is companies who develop antibody drug conjugates. They're companies that take toxins, small molecules, stick them on the antibodies, use the antibody for targeted delivery, and then see an awful lot of really good responses, frankly. The other group of companies that's really interesting are gene editing companies, because, as Daniel said, viral vectors are the means of the past, and gene editing companies are really looking for novel technology to get their gene editing kit inside the nucleus. And certainly conjugation that way we think is pretty attractive. And you can expect, I think, some news from us on that field over the next 6 months or so. Cream on the cake for us, this is blue sky. Our core business is cancer therapeutics, but all of a sudden we seem to have a trafficking entity that many people are interested in. Okay, we also heard earlier on that biotechs are successful when you have an alignment of human capital, financial capital and intellectual capital, and I'm really pleased to tell you that we've got the team that can deliver on this. Generally, when we think about antibodies, they transact earlier than small molecules. 60% of antibodies transact before they even get into the clinic, and I'm reminding you, we get into the clinic in the second half of next year. If you think about antibodies to small molecules, they transact for more generally, about 83% more. We'll look at preclinical antibody or antibody drug conjugate deals over the last year. The range has been 220 mil through to 6 bill. Frankly, at Patrys, we're not too greedy. We'll split the difference. That sort of deal will work for us. And on the board, we've got people who in the company, we've got people who can deliver. On the board, Dr. Pam Klein, ex-Genentech, was on the team that developed Herceptin, is on the board of argenx, a $33 billion antibody company. Wouldn't be involved in Patrys if she didn't think it was going to change the way we treat cancer. Susie Jones, ex-BD from Genentech, frankly has done more deals off her own bat than the Australian biotech sector over the last 10 years. And even me, the old CEO, has got 3 products on market and done more than $400 million worth of deals and capital raises. So with that as context, hopefully that has given you a flavour for Patrys, and hopefully we'll talk later on. Thanks.